Welcome everyone. My name is Jeffrey St Laurent and this is the Tuesday live show, and I do this each and every week, all the time, because my mission is to help coaches like yourself transition to a full-time business. And in order to transition to a full-time coaching business, we've got to understand the mechanics of business, because the business of coaching is completely different from the skill set of coaching. So I do record all of these Tuesday live shows and I put them on my website, sellingcoaching.com, under the university. I've got fantastic resources, comprehensive, detailed resources for coaches looking to take their coaching business serious and earn a full-time income. You could start right off on the home page. If you enter your name and email address, you get a great audio recording of what I call the resource, which is launching your full-time coaching business, the first 3 vital steps. So with that being said, let's jump into today's topic. And today's topic is a quick one, and it's a lesson in entrepreneurship, because I've learned lessons since I've been doing this full-time since 2004. I've learned lessons the hard way through the school of hard knocks, I would call failure. And then I've learned through the avenue of mentoring. So I've hired mentors in my life. And I've hired those people, and they've cut down on that learning curve, which is a big reason why I'm a mentor coach right now for coaches, because I've seen the value of it myself, and I've seen how much it helped me move forward. I didn't completely take away all of the learning curves, etc., but it helped tremendously, and that's my mission as I help coaches with you. So this lesson I'm going to share with you today, it actually comes from the least likely place and the least likely person. But it takes me back to college, believe it or not. And I was an entrepreneur in college. I did landscaping. I did painting, odd jobs like that. And I had my own business, so to speak, and I didn't really think of how this applied to me then, but it definitely applies now. And so in college, I went to UMass Amherst, and I took a mountain biking class. It was a 1-credit mountain biking class. And that's where I fell in love with mountain biking. I went on to race road biking and things like that. But when I took this mountain biking class, I had this old, huffy, steel-framed, heavy mountain bike, the kind you buy it at like Kmart, for $100, and it wasn't a real, a couple $1,000 mountain bike, et cetera, with suspension and stuff like that. And my mountain bike instructor always used to laugh at me because everyone else had all these fancy, high-priced bikes, and I was on my $100 steel-framed Huffy, And so when we were mountain biking, when you mountain bike, if you've ever done that, and if you've hiked, just picture it on a bike, So, but basically there's a lot of different obstacles like rocks and roots and things like that. And oftentimes when you're starting off mountain biking, you're a little bit more nervous. You're scared because you don't want to fall, because if you fall, you're going to hurt yourself, right? And so obviously when you're operating under those pretenses, you're a little bit more timid. You don't take as many chances. And therefore, when it comes to more challenging terrain, very oftentimes what happens is you get off the bike and you walk. So you don't really ever get any better because you're not actually riding through it, but then you're also not hurting yourself, so you think it's a win. But anyways, so obviously when you start off, you're just riding a lot more slow and timid. And so my instructor told us as a group one time, and he said, brakes just slow you down. And if you go fast enough, you can go over anything. And we all kind of laughed, because it's fairly obvious that brakes just slow you down. But the reality is, yeah, if you go fast enough, you can go over anything. Now, you might go over something and then go over the front end of your bike, but regardless of that, you're going to get over that stuff. And then he went on to talk about how he's like, when you're going faster through the trail, all the little rocks and all the little roots and all the little bumps that you'd normally feel when you're going real slow, and whether you mountain bike or not, right? You've been on a bike before, I'm sure. If you're going real slow, every little bump, every little root you're going to feel, and also every little bump, every little root and rock, it's going to push your tires to the side, and it's going to feel a lot more challenging when you're going really slowly. However, when you go a lot faster over that same stuff, you don't feel it. Yeah, there's bumps and stuff like that, but a rock that's sitting there, when you're just flying over it, you're going to fly over it. Whereas if you're going to go real slow, that rock might be the very one thing that kind of tips you over and knocks you off your bike. So if you go fast enough, you can go over anything, and brakes just slow you down. So now I've carried that over into entrepreneurship, because once I started really entrepreneurship in terms of when I was in my personal training business. And then when I moved on in 2004, up till now and probably for the rest of my life, entrepreneurship, it's the same applies to us as entrepreneurs, and obviously the breaks are just in our head, the things that we tell ourselves as to why we can't do something or shouldn't do something, or let me just take my time and let me do my research. Well, I can't get my message out there till I figure out, what my niche is or who I'm helping with what specifically, or I don't want to do, I don't want to do a seminar until I figure this out, or let me slow down. And there's the fear, just like mountain biking, right? The reason why people go slow mountain biking, like I said, is because, well, there's a fear of what? Falling over and hurting yourself, right? So the same thing with entrepreneurship. A lot of people start off their business slow and they're very methodical and they're all behind the scenes, which you don't have a business if you're behind the scenes. You might be preparing for it all. That's like me sitting at home thinking about mountain biking and, oh yeah, I'm going to pedal and I'm going to be strong and it's going to be so awesome. I'm going to make up this hill. Okay, visualization's one thing, doing it is another, right? You can sit and I realize the power of visualization, right? But take this for what it is. So in other words, but I take my time as an entrepreneur because I'm slow and I don't want to hurt myself and fall off, meaning I don't want to fail, or I'm not a great coach yet, or I'm not certified yet, or all the list of reasons why we're not good enough or why we can't or why we shouldn't. And that's not how entrepreneurship works. What's this? This is speed. This is money. Money like speed. The speed comes from decisive actions and creating decisions in the moment, being in the moment. And don't read into this like, oh, well, you mean don't think things through. But no, I'm not saying don't think things through and don't plan and don't visualize. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm saying you can. I'm just saying just don't sit there for too long and do that, because you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to create any results. Entrepreneurship is about speed. Think about money. Money is going in and out of accounts like you would not believe. It's flowing, it's moving. In order for you to get paid, you've got to move with it, because people decide. You hear me talk about selling all the time, need and timing. When the timing's right for someone, when they're going to buy something, they're going to do it, they're going to buy. And the cost doesn't matter. And like, oh, Jeff, the cost. No, the cost doesn't matter. It doesn't, because if they really want help with something and they really want to go after it and they really see value in working with you, they're going to hire you. And if you're not there, and if you're not following up, and if you're not you just chose not to do the event because, oh, it's holidays and it's slower and people are checked out and blah, 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 or everyone else is marketing because it's Black Friday and it's blah, 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 or you know what, I want to relax and enjoy the holidays, or I want to be gone more. And whatever you tell yourself, you're just missing out on business, because that's the speed, and breaks just slow you down. And the only way you're going to get over enough, and if you go fast enough, you can get over anything. So in other words, just like with the mountain biking, all the little obstacles that you see that are in your way, that are challenging you, that you think are hard, if you just started deciding and moving through them, even with that fear, yes, you're going to have that fear, right? But the only way, I remember, I'm out at UMass, in Amherst, when I went out there in Amherst, Massachusetts, and there was a lot of good terrain out there, and I started biking with some really good people. I was pushing myself because I wanted to get better, and I loved it. And I was going down terrain and up terrain and through terrain that was way better than my skill set. And I was watching and learning from other people. But the only way I eventually got up the hill, got down the hill, or got through a rough terrain was, number one, by trying it. Number two, by falling a whole freaking lot. And you know what? When you're like 19, 20 years old, you can do that. You can fall a lot, and it doesn't take its toll on you as like it would me now, But you could do that, And I would fall and I would fail and I would and I'd watch, and I'd sit at the bottom of the hill and I'd watch someone come down and I'd watch where they position their body, right? That's mentoring, right? I had mentors in my life. I asked them, what do you do? And they're like, sit your butt over the back of the handlebars, over your seat when you go down, use more of your front brakes, or don't use too much of your front brakes on the downhill because you could flip over, because you could lock your front tire up, go over roots perpendicularly, because if you go on the sideways, you can slide right off, right? Those are things that you learn. Same thing with your coaching business, right? There's things that you got to do, and you got to get out there. If you're setting up an event, as an example, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I've got to plan my content out, and I got to plan the event before I book the event and pick a date and time. No, it's the exact opposite. You've got to say, okay, I'm doing an event on January 15th. It's going to be located here. It's going to be an hour and a half from 7 to 8:30 p.m. and the topic's going to be how to blah, 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 blah. And it's presented by me. And I'm going to come up with a 3 to 5 word description. It's going to be, $37. And I'm going to start promoting and selling tickets right now. And that's all you need to know in order to book the event, right? And then you start filling the seats and you ask, and you comp some people in there and bring a friend, and you work your ass off over the next month or so to fill it up for the next couple weeks, or however long the time frame is. And then guess what? Once you start selling tickets and you got that going, then you plan the event. Then you plan in terms of content, right? So that's, moving with speed as opposed to breaking it. Because if you're just going to have to plan all the content first, guess what? Next thing you know, it's going to be January 15th and it's going to be June 15th. And then it's going to be another year and it's going to be December 15th and you never did the damn event. So breaks just slow you down. If you can go fast enough, you can go over anything.